Hi, everybody. We're about to get started with our first Ask an Expert live stream. Hi, thanks for joining me. We're going to get started right at the top of the hour for our Ask an Expert live stream. I'm here to answer any of your questions about flow cytometry analysis and FCS Express. Hi, everybody. We're about to get started with our first Ask an Expert live stream. We're going to look at getting started in FCS Express. I'm really excited about today. I can't wait to show you some things in FCS Express and answer any questions you have about flow cytometry analysis and FCS Express. If you can hear me, please feel free to put a message in the chat box so that I can say hello and welcome you to today's live stream. All right, we're almost there. We're going to get started with our first Ask an Expert live stream. I'll be answering any questions that you have. Please feel free to put them in the chat box so that we can take a look at them. I can answer them live for you. Today, we'll be getting started in FCS Express with just bringing in data, creating those plots, looking at some basic statistics, and then talking about our reportables. All right, it looks like we're there. We're at the top of the hour. I want to start getting started in FCS Express, show you some of the tricks that I use to do my analysis to get through things quickly, but have a reliable and reproducible analysis strategy to reuse with new data sets. So my name is Robin Kamacheka, and I'm a technical application specialist with Denovo Software. Today, this is our first Ask an Expert live stream. So if you do have questions and you are on with me live, please feel free to put some things in the chat so that I can respond to you in real time. I want to make sure that you get the most out of these sessions. This first one, we didn't have a lot of feedback. We're just trying something new. So we're going to start with a getting started, but then you guys are going to have the ability to write in and let us know what you'd like to talk about and how we can help you with your analysis in our software. So getting started, I'm just going to bring in some data. So of course, we've seen 1,000 times how to bring in our data through the data list, but we have another cool way we can bring in some data by just inserting a plot. Moving to our Insert tab, grabbing a density plot. If I draw that out in the layout, I'll automatically be opened to a folder that I was just looking into. I can pick a data file, click Open File, and then FCS Express is going to do the hard work and bring the rest of the data files in for me. So it's a really nice way to get things in nice and quick. And then I've already got a plot to get me started with my analysis. Now this plot here is just kind of our default starting plot. You're not committed to this in any kinds of ways. We have 1,000 different formatting options. I could probably do about 3 of these on the formatting options just for the plots alone. So if there is something that you're used to looking at, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to support you and get you the formatting that you want to see in your analysis. For now, we're just going to work with this default font and style here, and we're going to start moving through our data analysis. So FCS Express is built a little bit different. As you can see, it looks a lot like PowerPoint. What that means is a lot of the tools are found in similar tabs and positions. And then also, a lot of the features like drag and drop and typing things in to reduce the parameter labels, those are all things that are built in here to just make your analysis a little bit easier and move through your analysis more quickly. So if I start typing here, I'm going to scroll down, and now I just see that side scatter area parameter. Going to go ahead and do the same here in the X parameter, get my forward scatter, and then I'm looking at my first plot. Now gating, on our gating tab, we have all kinds of different types of gates to make sure that you have the flexibility to bring in those gates and to get this analysis done. Now our gates are universal, and what that means is we build this analysis strategy up and we walk our data files through it. So if I grab a rectangular gate and I draw it on this first sample here, we're going to get a create new gate window. In this create new gate window, I can start naming it. I can change gate color. I can choose to emphasize this population on plots, and I can include and exclude. As you can see, a lot of our tools here have more than one function. So you're not just going to create a new gate. If need be, you need to use this window. You can actually replace an existing gate or change parent gate. So you have a lot of flexibility. We wanted to make sure that as you're doing this analysis, you're never stuck. You have some options to keep moving forward without having to recreate a lot of elements. Once I click OK, I'm going to have this gate text box here, and I have my first gate. Now, like I was saying, what's kind of unique about FCS Express is that this is a universal gate. Now that I've created it, I just walk my data files through that first plot, and I can look at how this gate is being applied for these different samples. Now, in some of them, this cells gate is great. In others, maybe it needs to be extended. There's no worries. We have the ability to go both ways. And what I mean by that is you can use a universal gate where it's an appropriate gate, and then you can customize this gate for a specific sample. So if I click on this gate now, and I see that it's a little short here, I can use this data specific icon here. Once it has that gray background, I know that it's active. I can adjust this gate to include this a little bit more of what I'm seeing here. Click OK. And then when I click back to the other samples, it's going to go back to the other placement. So you're never stuck with a gate placement. If you have one of those data files that just needs a little extra, placement, needs a little adjustment, you can do that in FCS Express. Our data specific gate is one option to make that happen. We also have some other tools. So never feel like you're stuck with a gating position. We're just trying to make it as efficient and easy for you as possible to get that gating started. Now, once you have that first gate, to build out that hierarchy is really easy. All we do is drag that first gate out. We create this new plot. It's going to maintain all the formatting that I did in this first plot. And then I can just move on. Now I'm just looking at this next cells population. Now, if I wanted to create some new gates here, but I have this cell gate, don't worry, we don't have to keep this on. We can right click and tells the software that we don't want to have this cells gate showing. Then we can start creating additional gates on these same parameters without having a lot of overlapping gates. We have the space to create these, and then we also will still be building that hierarchy. So here, if I wanted to start building some new gates for some new populations, I can draw those in. Then in my Create New Gate window, can start giving them some new gate names here. And I'm just going to draw some extra gates in. Whoops. And I'm going to cancel that one. I accidentally double clicked on that polygon gate. It does just take 3 points, but if you are in a plot that you see that you can't find that end point, or the beginning point rather, you can use the space bar and FCS Express will close that for you automatically. So now I'm going to rename this gate here, click OK, and now I have 3 gates on this plot. Now I'm going to insert our gate view. Our gate view is, again, another tool. So not just going to show you our hierarchy like, yep, here we go. These are the gates that we're working with. This is actually another tool. If I'm looking at this and I realize I need to switch the order or move some gates around, I have that flexibility. I can draw that lymphs gate out from underneath being a child of the cells gate if needed, and I can change this order and move it around. So even if I've already created a gate, I can still modify my hierarchy without having to delete and recreate. I can do an undo, and that will pop it back into the new place. Now, same with that cells gate. If I want to start building off of any of these populations here, I can just drag that new population out and start looking at new parameters or looking for new information about this population. I'm going to go ahead and change this to my CD3. And I'm going to look at this population on my CD3 parameter. Now, if I have this plot and density was really great for the first 3, but now I'm looking at something else and maybe a histogram is more fitting, no worries. You're never stuck with the plot either. If we go to the Format tab, we can use this drop-down menu and change our plot type with just a click. So now I click histogram and my histogram updates, and now I'm seeing exactly what I need to do to move forward with my analysis. Now, moving back to that formatting, I have the formatting window open here, and it's kind of updating as I'm bopping around. And here we have so many different options. You have the ability to customize the appearance of these plots not only the fonts, but how things are displaying, increased dot sizes. We really want to make sure that you are able to get what you need out of FCS Express and for your analysis here. So by automatic and default for me, I've set my smoothing to 10, but if you want to decrease this for a histogram, increase this, you have that flexibility. You're not stuck with any choices that we've made for you. You can fill a histogram, and then you can tell the software how transparent you want that to be. You can adjust the colors as well. So now that we're here, I'm going to start looking at some markers, just adding a few more gates and things here to really get us started building out building out our analysis, starting to get some results. I've included a marker. And here I'm looking at my CD3 positive. So now if we look at our gating hierarchy here, you can see that I don't yet have a gate. We did that with intention. We didn't want all markers and quadrants to be gates by default. So you have a little flexibility. If you're exploring, it just needs some information here, you want to look at this population, you can do so and get some statistical information. If you would like to convert this to a gate, a quick right click, and you can convert a marker to a gate. We'll get that same create new gate window, and now we can add our new gate here. And if I expand my lymphs now, you'll see that I have that new CD3 population. So you have a lot of flexibility. We wanted to give you the options here to make sure that when you're working through your analysis, not only are you able to give the displays and plots and format things, but you also have the flexibility to control how things are relating to one another and getting the most out of your analysis. So I'm going to pull out my lymph gate again. And I'm going to show you, like, even if we're working with a plot and we've not applied the right gate, or we want to apply a different gate, there's no need to start over again either. We can just use our current gate dropdown, apply that CD3 gate here, make those adjustments if we wanted to look at a different plot style. Maybe we'll go with a color dot plot here and start changing those axes. I'm going to right click to also take away showing these gates. We'll deselect all. Also, when you're creating these formattings, right, because sometimes we format things as we're working through our analysis and sometimes it changes, we do have the ability, if you right click on a plot, to set this as a default or set this as a plot theme. That will help you moving forward. So again, once you have decided on something that's really working for you and working through your analysis, you're not going to have to recreate it. You just use these tools that are here to build for you. When I have a plot like this and I see that there's some really finite populations, are these events, are there not, I can always increase this dot size also, right? So I can make sure that I'm really looking at the things that I want to see. I can make sure I can confirm that they are events and that they're falling in the right populations as expected. When I move to my gating tab, I can also introduce some quadrants here. So I'm going to introduce a quadrant. We have different varieties of quadrant. This one I'm able to move just by this center piece. So this is our standard quadrant. So it's just going to move by that center marker here. But no worries, if you need a little more flexibility, we can change that. We go to our quadrants format window. We just use this drop down. We can change it to a floating. So now each arm is going to move independently. So I can make this, adjust this to how it would fit my data best, make those decisions on where to gate my data, how to gate my data, and have the reliability that I'm getting the results that I need from my analysis. After I've created these quadrants, I can right click and I can create more gates as well. So I'm going to use my upper left here, and I'm going to do this CD4 positive population. As you can see, when I'm creating these gates, everything is updating for me in real time. I'm not having to go backwards and, try to figure out what colors I want to add now to my dot plot, my color dot plot here. As I'm creating these new gates, FCS Express is updating that for me automatically. I'm able to just add those elements in right away, and you can see what's changing and what's transitioning. Just like if I grab this lymph gate and I start moving it around to new places, you can see how everything else is also updating. So I do want to take a moment and start talking about statistics because our statistics work by the population that's being displayed on a given plot. If we look at this first plot here with the no gate, we'll see our cells are 73.38%. And that's relative to all the events that are in this data file. Now, when we start looking at our statistics in our next plot, these statistics for our lymphs, monos, and grands will be relative to our cells population. Now, no worries, our statistics are so great and we have so many options to report them that if you need to find the relationships between different populations, you can do so. But I do want to show you, when you show the default statistics from a given plot, you will see that the relationship is related to whatever population is displaying. So this is just a default statistic table here, and I can see my populations and number of events and all of the statistics that are set here by default. No worries, if you don't like the statistics that are showing, you can right click and choose one statistic at a time, or in our statistic window, we can look at statistics and choose multiple things if we would like to take some of these away, just kind of reduce um, things that are showing or customize what statistics that we'd like to display. I'm going to move this over just a little bit here, shrink up my gate view here, and just keep moving on. In FCS Express, since I did touch on that gate view just one more time, I do want to add that you can do combination gates. So if you were looking at adding some combination gates into your workspace, you could select two gates, right click, add a combination gate, and start building this out. You don't have to, go through a bunch of steps to create a combination gates. You can do ands, ors. There's a lot of different options. If you're not sure which operation to use, we do have an operator formula right here for you to access, so you can make those gates and really get what you need out of your analysis. So here we've got a little bit built up. We started introducing some default statistics. Let's take a look at some other features that we have. Text boxes. Text boxes can be great because they're so versatile. Not only can we put information that might be vital to our analysis about what happened for a sample or some information pertinent about our experiment, but this is another way that we can display our statistics. We can insert a table here. So if we insert a table, I just started with two columns and rows. No worries if you need to add more. On our text tab, again, just having these tools at your fingertips, you can use this flexibly and just add the things that you need on as you're moving through your workspace here. So if I wanted to add a file name here, and we'll say number of events for my sales gate. This is really great to build. We talked a little bit about that drag and drop feature. I can drag my file here. Whenever I get this little plus icon, that means I've landed where I want to go. I can drop, and then I'll be able to look at tokens. Tokens is really just a cool way for us to say piece of information. So we're going to grab a statistic token first because we can find our file name there. Grab our file name and then click OK. We can also use keywords. I didn't get a chance to show you with that last token window, so I'm going to go to the Data tab and look at View Header. We have a lot of information that we can give you right away. We can tell you how many parameters that you've collected for a given sample, and then we can go in and look at all of the metadata that was stored inside of your FCS file during acquisition. So if any of this information could be useful for your analysis, we can introduce this through a keyword token or piece of information, and then you can use this in your analysis, and it will update as we move through different data files. One thing that's really awesome as well is we can even add extra keywords. So if your acquisition instrument didn't have spaces to add some information that's going to be helpful in organizing or analyzing your data set, we can add some additional keywords. And we have a lot of information available for you that on our website. But here I've got an example where I've just added some sample ID information and sex of my patient, just so I had some additional keywords to put in here to help me with my analysis. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this window, and then I'm just going to drag that sales gate. I'm going to drag that sales gate over into my table here, let go. I'm going to grab the number of events. Now, I did say just a moment ago that if we're looking at a population, we do have that flexibility to look at relationships between gates. We've done a really great thing and we've got this ability to customize our denominator gate. So in case you have to go back further than your grandparent or your parent of a given population, you can just tell the software, use this percent of all gate, use this custom denominator drop-down gate, and then we can start looking at relationships. We can change what the denominator will be for our population. So we'll go back to just click number of events while we're adding it to our table here and click OK. Now, like I said, when we build up this analysis strategy, we actually walk our software through it, or I mean our data files through it, right? So the software is working just as hard as we are about building this analysis. We're not having to recreate gates for given samples. We're not having to go back and recreate. Now we just walk our data files through. We start looking to make sure that our gates are appropriate. If we need to make adjustments, we have that flexibility to do that. Now I'm going to go back to, I think it was sample 4 here, and it looks like our marker could be adjusted. Now I told you that we have some other tools that allows us to make some adjustments to our gating and also to our markers. So on our tools tab, we have this awesome feature called apply iteration snapshots. Now what this does is it gives us the ability to tell the software, hey, I would like you to remember where I put this marker for a given sample or where I put a gate for a given sample, and it will do that for us. So it will remember where things are moved and adjusted, and then when we move to different samples, it will go back to universal placements. So we have these tools here. While you're working with your data set, you can make adjustments as you're looking through a data file, and then the software does the hard part in remembering which gate was supposed to be placed where and how things were supposed to look for you. Um, Once we've gotten our data analysis strategy established, the next part is really about what are those additional features that we want. And some of those things that we can do in FCS Express to really bring an analysis home is one, we can save this as a template. So if we go to a file and save as, this little drop-down menu here at the bottom, Save As Type, we have 3 different types. One is linked with our data. This will remember our pathway to our data so that if we have to open this again, we'll be able to bring back really quickly and link back to those data files we were doing our analysis and just pick up wherever we left off. We have the ability to embed data. Now this one is a little important to remember that it will embed the data that is displayed on the layout at the time of the save. So it will only have the data that is displaying on the layout at the time of the save. So even if I had 9 data files in here like I do now, but my first one is the only one that's displaying, the only data file that will be embedded in this layout will be the first data file. And then the last one is our unlinked data. This is our template file. This is how we really optimize our analysis. We create this amazing data analysis strategy, and then we save it as unlinked. The only thing we have to do when we come back is drop in our new data set. We add those new data files, we adjust the gates as needed, we make those fine-tuned adjustments, maybe add a little additional information if it's available, and then we just run to make those reportables, and that's where we're moving to next. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this here. And now we're going to talk about batch processing. So batch processing is really the bread and butter of FCS Express. This is how we get our reportables. What are those things that we need to display, we want to provide at the end of an analysis? We have these great options to create PDFs, PowerPoints, Excels. We can even introduce and spreadsheet internally. So if you have some charting to do, but you want to make a summary spreadsheet, we can do that. We want to make sure that your analysis, at the end of your analysis, you're able to get the reportables that you need. You're able to get those elements to really optimize and make you have the presentation materials. Maybe you're going to display for your lab the work that you've done and the results that you found from an experiment. We can get you to a PowerPoint in just a click. So if we click on Save to PowerPoint, we get this window. We're able to tell the software what we'd like to do with this. We can open it after saving. If you wanted to see a plot side by side, no worries. We can do that in FCS Express too. We just use it's called a custom grid here. We can crop to content. You can see each iteration side by side. For this, we're just going to go ahead and do a full page. You can tell the software if you want to use all pages, a current page. You are never stuck with any given option. You have the ability to make sure that you're getting the reportables that you need. Here, we also can combine our data from iterations into a single file. We can have each iteration as a as a separate presentation, and then we can also append. So if you're doing a longitudinal study, you're not going to have 35 PowerPoints that you come back and bring back together at the end and then realize that somebody accidentally saved PowerPoint 31 somewhere where you can't be found. You can just append it into a single presentation and then be on your way. You'll have all of that information over your study in one place, and you'll have really great high resolution graphics, and you'll have a reproducible analysis strategy that if you come back and you need to look at something, you can drop your data in, you can take a look, you can add new data, so you can always expand after you've started things. So I do want to take a moment and ask if anybody has any questions that they want to take a look at. If you're new to FCS Express, is there anything that has been more difficult for you, or how can I give you the best support in this moment? All right, so this is our first live stream event. We want to have much, much more of these. We want to make sure that we're answering your questions. We want to make sure that we're giving you the support that you need. And most of all, we want to make analysis fun again, right? Do you remember when I remember when I first was in science, I was so excited about seeing platelets and doing all the things with flow cytometry. Analysis can be fun. It can be easy. It can be reliable, reproducible. You can have all of those things. I would like to show you how. So if you have a topic suggestion, please reach out to us at support@denovosoftware.com. If you have any follow-up questions about your analysis specifically, please also reach out. We want to make sure that you have the tools needed to get through your analysis. We want to make FCS Express easy, reliable, and effortless when you come in to do your analysis. We want to make sure that we make it an enjoyable experience. I want to thank you for your time today. We do have a free download for you. If you haven't tried our software, you can get a free 30-day demo at denovosoftware.com. And I do see that we do have a question coming in about linking markers. We can link markers, we can link gates, we can make those connections for you. On our gating tab, if you introduce a second marker here, I'm going to do that for my negative population, you can find this endpoint and just drag it up to meet this next marker. As soon as I see that plus icon, remember that means I've landed. I can let it go, and now those endpoints are linked. If I move the endpoint of one, the beginning point of the other will automatically update. This is a beautiful feature because never again will you have to guess, are they lined up? Did they match? Is one ending where the other one is starting? FCS Express can do that for you and link those markers and make sure that they are consistent endpoints to beginning points. Okay, I have just a couple minutes left here. We did do a 30-minute one just for this one to get us started, to get people interested in showing up for our live streams so that we can answer your questions about analysis in FCS Express. If you have any last minute questions for me, please put them in that text box so that we can, or the chat box rather, so that we can get them answered and give you an opportunity to get something accomplished in your analysis today. All right. Any questions? Anything outside of our meeting time today, please feel free to reach out to us at support@denovosoftware.com. That's why I'm here. I really enjoy working with my customers. I believe that FCS Express is a reliable solution for your flow cytometry analysis. I really enjoy doing analysis in FCS Express. So please reach out. I'm happy to provide you with support at any time. And thank you again. Please check us out and give us a chance to see if this could be a great tool for your own analysis. Thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and please join us again on our next Ask an Expert, where we can answer your questions about flow cytometry analysis and FCS Express.